And welcome back on this Saturday, the final one of August for 2020. We're just trying to get to 2021, folks. Matt Hatfield here with you, the coach Ed Young as well. And at this time, we're joined by another special guest. He covers the Washington Nationals. He does a little bit of everything up there in the D.C. area when it comes to sports. He's also the play-by-play voice of the Naval Academy, the midshipman up there on 106.7 The Fan. And we say hello to our man Pete Medhurst here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Pete, thanks for joining us. Is there a sense of a return to normalcy since we last spoke with you, with baseball being more than 30 games in, hockey and basketball playoffs underway despite the hiatus here for a couple days, or not till we get some football, or more than that, till we get some fans in the stands?
I think fans in the stands, and good morning to you guys, will represent probably as close to normalcy as we'll get, but God bless the athletes and the coaches, the officials that are all willing to step forward. And obviously, this is their job too. The compensation between their jobs and our jobs clearly different, but this is how they make their money. So they, like many others, those who are working in retail establishments, food places, first responders, all making a choice to work, and at least for our entertainment purposes right now, good to have them out there and wish them the best every single day, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and we'll get to the midshipmen here 9 days away from that game on ESPN with them and Brigham Young University. But let's hit some baseball first. The Nats, the defending World Series champs, with some 7-5-7 flavor on that roster. We know about Daniel Hudson and Ryan Zimmerman, though he's not playing, and others there. 12-17 right now, basement of the National League East division. Yet they're only 5 games back in the division, one of just 2 teams in the NL East with a plus run differential in terms of plus minus, and they're third in the sport in batting average. So why is this team not where it should be, at least most defending champions where they are at this time?
No, there's no question. The pitching's been very inconsistent for them. And when you miss Strasburg, you go from having 3 number ones to 2, and the margin of error is even less then, because when you have 3 number ones, that usually means one of them is going up against a 2 or a 3 on somebody else's staff because of the depth of the rotation. However, case in point the other night, Patrick Corbin throws a really good game, but Aaron Nola also throws a really good game. You make one bad pitch and you lose a 3-2 ball game. So that's where not having Strasburg in the rotation has hurt them. At times, the B bullpen hasn't kept them in games, and games have gotten out of hand, even though they've scored some runs, losing games like 11-8. That's something that the Nats just don't normally do. If they score 8 runs in a game, normally you can book that one for Washington. But the bottom of the lineup has really struggled as well. I mean, Trey Turner's been on a huge hitting streak, but last night it finally cashed in because Victor Robles, who's been hitting at the bottom of the lineup, got 3 hits in a ball game. Well, that hasn't happened a whole lot during this hit streak for Trey. If the whole idea of having Robles sitting in front of Turner in the 9-1 area was, for that kind of production to eventually help them. Now, the question is, can Victor do it at the plate consistently? He's proven already this year to be a Gold Glove center fielder, but just some things right now that they've got to get straightened out. As we know, you get to Rainey and, the Monarch himself, Daniel Hudson, in the back end of that bullpen. For the most part, Huddy's only had one really bad outing this year. Other than that, that guy's been nails for this team since being acquired last year from Toronto.
Hey, Pete, Ed Young here. A question I would have in watching these, well, I'm a big Yankee fan. I was glad to see baseball get back out here. Just watching it from the living room, it's so different, not seeing fans. It's not an expanded season. It's condensed. Rosters are expanded. It just seems to me it's like some managers are making moves or decisions that I'm wondering, with a 162-game season, less people in the playoffs, because now we have more, that some of these moves wouldn't be made. Do you kind of get that feel where it's baseball is baseball?
And it's almost like we're watching extended spring training in some cases. As you mentioned, the expanded rosters, everybody playing by American League rules now, so we don't need, as ironically, we've expanded the bench, but we don't need the bench to be as expanded because we're not pinch hitting for pitchers, in the 4th and 5th inning like we would have in the National League in the past. So I think at times, for some managers, it's been a challenge in how to get some of their players in the lineup to keep them fresh. Clearly, from a pitching standpoint, there's not enough quality major league pitching, to cover every organization in this league right now. I mean, that's I think about days gone by when, we had 5, 6, 7 less teams in Major League Baseball, and everybody had a little bit better depth in their bullpens and things of that nature. But that's not the case now. I mean, you got guys. I mean, last night Ben Bramer's up here pitching for the Nats in the mop-up role because they're hammering Boston, and this is a guy that would have clearly been maybe Double-A for a full season this year, perhaps Triple-A, but he'd have been down in the minor leagues for a full season. Yet he and Seth Romero have both made their major league debuts out of necessity because of injuries to other pitchers. And the difference in the rules now, the left-handed specialist isn't as important now because unless you time it right where somebody's got 2 or 3 lefties coming up in one inning, that left-handed specialist is not necessarily as important or as valuable because you're not bringing him in for one batter like you would in the past. Now you have to have a left-hander who's got to get everybody out, and that's why perhaps you lean toward a youngster like Seth Romero, college pitcher out of the University of Houston, throws mid-90s after Tommy John, and those are the kind of guys that you trust to get lefties and righties out. Right now, the Nationals had a problem until Sean Doolittle was activated. Basically, Wander Suero, who throws a tremendous cutter as a right-hander, was the guy being used against left-handed batters. So it's really presented, I think, some intriguing issues for managers around Major League Baseball in trying to keep their players fresh and strategically how they're going to use relievers in these situations, where they've got to face 3 guys before being taken out of the ball game.
I'll tell you, that's a great point you're making is these guys probably would be in the minors, but since there is no minor league baseball, so you've got to keep them, your prospects, you've got to keep them hot. You've got to give them some kind of work, but you can't give them the type of work that they would get in the minor leagues. And it almost seems like some managers, it's probably the wrong way to say this, it's just like an experimental season. If we make the playoffs, that'll be great. We have a chance because they expanded it, but we have got to look towards the future and get some of these guys ready. And it just seems like they're playing with it a different ball game.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, like I said, with the Nats, they've used Romero and Bramer. The Braves have used Ian Anderson this week, and he was terrific in his start. We got a brief glimpse of the guy that they think is their Juan Soto and Christian Prochet with Atlanta. So I think you're seeing some teams. Look, you want to keep your top prospects active. That's why they're on this 60-man roster, so to speak, and that's why many of them are at the alternative training sites getting work in right now, because those guys, you don't want them to lose time in terms of development, because those are guys in some cases maybe you were hoping would be a part of your plans at the major league level in 2021. So from that standpoint, that's why you're seeing a lot of those guys on the 60 and everybody's saying, all right, well, it's not going to hurt to bring them up and put them in the clubhouse for a couple of days, let them be around major leaguers, helps their professional development. And I think some teams have taken the opportunity to do that. We saw Toronto do it with Nate Pearson. They're hard-throwing, 100-mile-an-hour starting pitcher. Ironically, he's gotten hurt already. So there's risk involved when you do it. But right now, I do believe you're right. I believe GMs and managers are experimenting a little bit just to see exactly what they have in some of these prospects, because we know minor league baseball is going to look different when it returns. For an area like Norfolk, it's not going to change because that's a AAA team. But a lot of those excess Class A teams and rookie league teams we've seen in the past, I think in some places, probably going to go by the wayside. So for these prospects, for some of them, this is kind of a make or break situation. Prove you belong and you're going to stay. If not, you may be shipped off to another organization.
Pete, one last thing I wanted to ask you was trade deadline's coming up obviously this weekend. And because of all this newness and everything's different, I kind of feel you won't see a lot of trades, because normally at the trade deadline you have teams that are out of it and they may dump high salaries or free agent to bees. And then the teams that know they got a great shot at winning, they need that one more piece, will make some deals. But it seems like everybody's issue is pitching. There's just not, and you mentioned earlier in your talk, just not enough good pitching to go around. How do you view or what have you heard about upcoming trade deadline here coming up?
I don't think anybody's given up major prospects. I don't think you're seeing blockbuster deals, and here's why. Even if you go deep into the playoffs, you're not hosting games, so you're not gaining the financial advantage of hosting postseason games and hosting World Series and the excess merchandise and things of that nature. So there's not the financial gain for a lot of these teams to, go for broke, so to speak. I think you'll see teams add say a guy's got an expiring contract, guys will go after a guy like that. The Pirates are already selling off veteran pieces. We saw the White Sox acquire Jared Dyson from the Pirates earlier this week. But other than that, I don't see any blockbuster deals coming here. I'd be very surprised if we see any of those, just because in this truncated season, I don't see teams going for broke, so to speak, because to me, even if you win or go far in the playoffs, you're just not getting the same financial return that you would normally get in the same season because of the lack of fans being able to be there and all of the concession, the extra parking, the extra ticket sales, and all that stuff that you gain if your team goes far in the playoffs.
Talking with Pete Medhurst. He is the play-by-play voice of the Naval Academy, also part of the Nationals Radio Network, and so much more. It's ESPN Radio 94.1 757 Saturday Sports Talk here with the coach Ed Young, Matt Hatfield as well. And Pete, not only is he, Ken Niumatalolo, I hope I got that right, the longest tenured head coach in the AAC there at Navy, entering his 13th season, but it's more than double the next closest guy at his respective school, I believe, which is Philip Montgomery in his 6th year at Tulsa. Does that experience level give Navy any advantage going into this uncertain football season we have for the collegiate athletes?
I'm not sure anybody's prepared really for the uncertainty, to be honest with you. I think it helps because, the philosophy at Navy will remain the same. It never changes. What is expected of you from the day you step on the field to be a leader as a student athlete. And, I think from that standpoint, I think the mids are probably in a little bit better position because they've got a natural bubble, so to speak, in their campus atmosphere. And obviously now for the players who are getting ready for the football season, I guess you could say that, but you could say the same thing for, a lot of other clubs. Philip Montgomery's been at Tulsa for a while, as you mentioned. Guy's done a very good job there. You look around the rest of the AAC, a lot of people have poached coaches from this league because I believe it belongs in that Power 5 group. Their results against Power 5 teams have proven that they're ready to play. Memphis, even though Mike Norvell went to Florida State, they hired an assistant. So the consistency of the message is still the same at a lot of the key places within the league. So I think the league's going to be ready to go. I think it's going to be wild. I think the results this year are going to be completely unpredictable because you don't know from literally maybe up until kickoff whether somebody's going to be able to play or not. If that kid walks through the tunnel and has a temperature that day, they're going to pull him out of line. He's not going to play. So I think again, be glad with whatever games we get. And who would have thought that a game between Central Arkansas and Austin Peay would be the most important football game of the season? Because
crazy.
How do these guys test Monday and Wednesday after a full-fledged game? This is gonna tell a lot of people whether this can be done or whether it can't be. So, you've already got the Big Ten, hinting of backtracking a little bit at least until Thanksgiving. If this Central Arkansas Austin Peay game goes off tonight and there aren't a whole lot of glitches afterwards, then the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC are going to be gung-ho, let's go, we told you so, and they're going to be the one that'll reap a little bit more of the financial benefit because TV networks are scrambling big time for inventory right now, just like this BYU-Navy game that came together a week from Monday night. Notre Dame and Navy had to postpone their game for a year. So literally within hours, BYU and Navy were on the phone. They made a game, and ESPN said, yeah, we'll put you in prime time on Labor Day night. So right now the networks need the inventory, that's for sure.
And Notre Dame just adding South Florida as its +1 game in South Bend on Saturday, September 19th, with them a part of the ACC. Last one for me, Pete, and we thank you for coming on the program. I'm sure we'll get you back on down the road here. So, you kind of just hit on it. We know every year the game for Navy is Army-Navy. December 12th is on the docket for this year. What's the next one you're most anticipating? Is it that opener because of kind of figuring out what happens from there Labor Day evening with the Middies and BYU, or is it somebody else on the docket?
No, I mean, I think Navy BYU, because of the national perspective of both programs. It's Labor Day night. It's going to be national TV. What a great opportunity for both programs to showcase themselves in front of the national TV audience. And look, I mean, we know, Navy's record against American Athletic Conference foes is impeccable since they joined the league. You know, they tied for the league title of the league division championship a couple of times, won the division outright one time, been in the AAC championship game. So we know with the conference only schedule, we know how well Navy's played against those foes, but we don't get to venture outside of the Army, Air Force, Notre Dame window in terms of our non-conference very much. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing Navy get a chance to display its wares against a team like Brigham Young, another nationally known and nationally high-profile program. So it's a great opportunity for the kids. And like I said, the whole season, in my mind, hinges upon testing in the days following these games. If we are not seeing a high frequency, of positive tests, then this season is going to keep on. If we have a very high percentage of positive tests, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to play every week like they're planning on right now. So fascinating times. There's no question about it here in college football. But the one thing I know the kids in the Vegas gold and blue are going to show up on Labor Day night ready to go, and at least for 1 week ready to play a football game, and obviously hoping everybody gets through it healthy and so we can play some more.
For sure. Well, whether it's football, baseball with the Nats, lacrosse, you name it, racing, he's got his finger on the pulse of it all. Pete Medhurst, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll keep in touch. Enjoy your weekend, all right?
Matt, Ed, appreciate it. You guys do the same.
All right, you got it. That is Pete Medhurst with us here on the program. And we'll take a timeout. Hour one of the books. We'll come back with Mario Mullen, new hoops coach at Ocean Lakes from Old Dominion, Bayside High fame. It's all coming your way on ESPN Radio 94.1.